it's a very, like I have heard people, there have been cases which have gone on for generations, civil litigation, right? And there are places in India where you file a civil litigation case, and your matter may not come up in hearings in the next 5 years also, because there's a long queue, other cases have been filed and they are waiting to be heard. Now, if you can throw some, actually share some real life experience about this from your, like you shared a little bit earlier that, you'll get, every hearing will be after 1 year, 1.5 years. So
there was a time. So times are changing. We are evolving as a nation. We are evolving. We are a developing country. Please bear with us. And with time, we are changing. Things have changed over the years. Today, you don't get long dates. Today, there have been a lot of changes. Today, the Supreme Court has realized and has directed that your right, and I may say that the speedy trial is a fundamental right which is implicit in the guarantee of life as enshrined under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. So today, if you're not getting your relief fast, do you know that you have your remedy under Article 32 to go to the court and say that I am entitled to justice? I'm not saying give me an order in my favor or against, but please give me a relief, give me an order today. I need to see it while I'm alive. In fact, there is this consumer case which I am already handling for a retired armed forces officer. Exactly this is what is happening. We go to the court, it's been for arguments in the last, I think, 2 to 3 years now. It's not being heard. The final hearing is not taking place. Builder related issue, and it's a consumer case where the Consumer Protection Act itself says within 6 months you have to decide. Those are the cases eligible for going into these kind of cases under Article 32 of the Constitution. Follow that up, follow that case, that may be of interest to you, how we are able to get that kind of a speedy trial or a speedy relief to somebody who's not been getting his judgment. Then there have been amendments. In 2002, there was this major amendment in the Code of Civil Procedure. Simple things, what we realized. Earlier, there was no time limit. It was totally left to the discretion of the court. After the amendment of 2002, they said you file the written statement within 30 days. If not 30 days, 60 days, and if not 60 days, maximum 90 days, not beyond that. And even for that, you have to justify each day of delay. So they left it to the discretion of the court, but they defined it under the Code of Civil Procedure that there is a time limit for it. Then in the same amendment, they came up with alternate dispute resolution mechanisms. Mediation, arbitration, lok adalat, conciliation. Today, mediation is becoming such a popular remedy before you even come to the court. Then they realized that 2002 we've given this amendment in law, given these alternate remedies in law, but they are not being used. So again in 2015 they modified and got in the Commercial Courts Act. They realized a lot of disputes are commercial court disputes, commercial disputes under contracts. So they said if it is a commercial dispute, you first go in for mediation. It's only if the mediation fails then you come to the court. So over the period of time, laws are evolving, amendments are happening, and we are in our country, like I said, we all as lawyers, as future lawyers who are part of that Constitution of India, and we are to bring those change, we are to bring those suggestions, and we have to be efficient in the courts even as lawyers to ensure that the courts hear us on time and don't let the other side take any adjournments without a proper reason.
What is the fundamental reason that civil cases take so long to hear? Basically, there is not enough judicial resources to hear the cases quickly enough. Is that the case?
Yes, in fact, today's newspaper, I don't know if you've seen, the Economic Times, it clearly talks about this very fact. It says that the judge and the citizen ratio today in India has about 21 judges per million people.
Yes.
For 1 million citizens, there's only 21 judges. And this was reported today in Economic Times. And it is a statement made in the Rajya Sabha by a law minister, Kiran Rijiju. So this is where we stand. And not only this, I'll just add, the vacancy of judges we are still short of judges. That also needs to be filled in. There are positions available, Supreme Court included. 34 judges is the limit. There are still a pendency, 3 judges space is vacant. In the High Court across the country, 1,108 seats are there, out of which 380 seats are still vacant.
Almost one third.
Almost one third. And in the district and subordinate courts, there are across the country 24,631 seats available, and 5,342 seats are still vacant. So many appointments still needs to be done in all courts, including from district court to High Court to the Supreme Court.
In fact, the Law Commission a few years back came out with a report saying that India needs at least 50 judges per million population, and in the US it is 100 per million.
Yes.
And there is no developing country or developed country which has less than 50. And in India, they set the target of 50, and accordingly the number of, I think, judges strength was also being increased over time. But there is a conflict between that. It's a state subject, but appointment of judges at the local level, right, district level. But center has an objective. I think it's one of the major factors for also increasing ease of doing business.
Yes.
And because contract enforcement is India does very badly on that parameter. There are 30 parameters of ease of doing business, and one of that is contract enforcement. And there was one year where India ranked 187 out of 189 countries.
Wow.
Like one of the worst in the world in terms of enforcing contracts. Since then, that is why they made a change also in the Specific Performance Act, because they wanted to improve India's positioning. So they said that specific performance will be the rule and damages will be when specific performance cannot be. And so this is one thing. They also wanted to establish commercial courts and other things, because it's also a big factor that there's a fear of FDI coming into the country, because they feel that a dispute can take forever and there are issues around that. So but again, going back to the original question, right? Why is there such a shortage of judges? Like, what is the problem? I mean, it's a difficult question to answer.
No, it's a procedural thing. It's a government thing.
But it's not a priority for.
No, it is. The courts are putting up. But see, when we talk about a judge, it is not just a judge. Please understand, it's an entire setup. There's a alma, there's a reader, there is, it's. Every every judge has thousands of cases to look into. Now, just to look into those, the files have to be maintained. You need an infrastructure, you need a courtroom, you need the staff, the court staff, you need the court masters. So it's not just appointing a judge, it's an entire system.
Correct.
Right, which needs to be appointed, and that needs finances, that needs budgeting. It's not that you appoint just one court or one judge. So you are appointing, as the number says, so the budgeting has to be done. The government has to give that much of funds or allot that kind of funds, and then those appointments take place. So it's a lot of procedural thing. I totally would not say that it's a lack of interest, but things are working in that direction. I think government is bringing about changes. Appointments are being made. Every now and then, at least, we keep hearing about new appointments which are taking place. New vacancies, a lot of judicial officers are now getting appointed.
Right, it has really gone up. Like they're gradually trying to take it to 50. There was a time it was 13.
No,
like not very long back it was 13 per million. Now it is at least up to 21.
Oh yes, so increase has taken place. We are evolving as a nation, and we can be supportive towards that. At least I would want to be.
Yes.